out. Michael Lawrence through injury. Anthony Mullally. Kumutai, we're told, will arrive on Tuesday, their new signing, having jumped through the necessary passport hoops. This is the side, though, that will line up with Scott Griggs at fullback. It's Luke George, Leroy Cudjoe, Joe Wardle, Jermaine McGilvray, Danny Brough and Luke Robinson, a familiar half-back pairing. It's in the forwards that the changes are most noticeable. This new front row of Stuart Fielden, the former Great Britain international, Sean Lunt, returning to his club after such a successful loan spell with the Rhinos. Craig Kopczak, Welsh international, signed in some controversy from the Bradford Bulls. And Brett Ferris, Jason Chan and Luke O'Donnell. And great things expected from Fielden still. On the bench, Earl Crabtree, David Fayumu, Lon Patrick and 19-year-old Jamie Cording. And the coach is former Saints favourite, Paul Anderson. Now St Helens, a very familiar looking lineup, just the two debutants in Willie Manu and Jordan Turner. They could add great firepower to this Saints side. Paul Wellens captains the side at fullback. It's Tommy Makinson who's preferred to Adi Gardner. Gardner, it did seem, would get the nod, but he is 18th man. Turner makes his debut. Josh Jones, can he follow up last season's amazing success? Francis Melly. Lee Gaskell returns to the starting lineup to partner Johnny Lomax. In the forwards, Josh Perry, James Roby, Anthony LaFranchi, Sia Soliola, John Wilkin, and a debut for Willie Manu, who could really fit in nicely to this St Helens side. And it's some bench as well. Lance Ahaya, Lou McCarthy, Scarsbrook, Tony Puliatua and Mark Flanagan. A big day for the new coach, Nathan Brown.
Yes, massive day for some of the St Helens players, massive day for Nathan Brown and Paul Anderson, the coach of the Huddersfield Giants. Now, the players of both sides will line up for a minute's silence prior to the match because Rugby League recently lost one of its true greats. Dave Chisnell spent 4 seasons at St Helens in the late 70s with his brother Eric, helping to victory in the 1977 Premiership final, and then he returned to the club as assistant alongside Alec Murphy in the 80s. And all that came after winning international honours while at Lee and appearing in 7 major finals with Warrington. After leaving Saints, Dave continued to play his part in the amateur game. He became the head coach at a local club in St Helens called the Pilkington Rex. Now, the thoughts over the recent weeks have been with Dave's family and friends, and the crowd here now being asked to stand and join a minute's silence in memory of Dave Chisnell. Memories of a rugby league great, Dave Chisnell. OK, the Saints come into this match having beaten Huddersfield 26-0 last month in a pre-season friendly, a result that must inspire confidence that they can mount a challenge in 2013. Much made of Nathan Brown's first Super League game against his former club, of course, but we must remember Paul Anderson, the man who took over at the Giants. He's a former Saint, a Saint player, and still very, very popular amongst the St Helens supporters. OK, we are ready to go. The second game of the Super League live here on Sky Sports. Here we go. And it's Lee Gaskell who gets this game in motion. A deep, deep kickoff. And these two sides, here's the first hit up for Stuart Fielden. These two sides, Steve-O, having seen on Sky last night the wonderful performance of the champions, the Leeds Rhinos, they know the standard they have to achieve.
Yeah, they certainly do, Eddie. And I must say that the Rhinos were absolutely superb last night. They laid down the gauntlet. But St Helens and Huddersfield, they both have high aspirations of a very, very good season. Both of these sides, they recruited well. But I think many people here will be looking towards the man that they went for, St Helens. That I really think that Manu is going to be perhaps one of the best signings for this year.
Well, we shall see. There he is, Willie Manu, wearing number 13, operating at loose forward, signed a 2-year deal last June. The first kick downfield and the first touch of the ball in earnest this year for Paul Wellens, the skipper. Good chase, though, from the Huddersfield Giants. Here's Johnny Lomax now. He gets away from one, but he can't get away from Leroy Cudjoe.
It's interesting to see that Lee Gaskell has come back to join. Another youngster, Johnny Lomax, had a tremendous season last year. Gaskell, of course, went onto the wayside midway through that last season. Interesting to see that their combination, I'm sure that they'll be eager to impress their new coach, Nathan Brown.
Good offload finds James Roby. There are few as consistent as him in the Super League any year. That was Lafranchi. This is Lomax, the ball that went behind. A chance here for Huddersfield to swoop on the loose ball, but Makinson got there before Luke George. They lost a little bit of ground there, the Saints. Now Jordan Turner.
Just a little bit of jitters, you can see that. So much expected of the St Helens side. Obviously they want to go one better and actually win another grand final at Old Trafford. That looked pretty high there.
Yeah, the Saints won the 5 of the first 11 Super League grand finals. Their last trophy way back in 2008 when they beat Hull in the Challenge Cup final. Desperate to get back to winning silver, and tipped to end a 7-year wait for a 6th Super League crown this year in many quarters. St Helens.
Well, the team in possession at the moment, Huddersfield, they ended last season pretty low on confidence. But if they cast their minds back 12 months, they went to Wigan, the team that ended up winning the League Leaders' Shield and won away from home in round 1. It'll take a massive effort to do it again here today, but they certainly have the potential on paper with the players out there selected.
Here's the kick from the left boot of Danny Brough. It's high and it's spiralling all over the place, but Wellens is safe as houses.
Yeah, a little bit too long there, but the option was good. They put the pressure in the early part of this game.
Say too long, Mike. If they continue to give St Helens possession 5 metres from their own try line, they'll be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, it's all about we know that Paul Anderson, he's gone for the big fellas, and that's good work there by James Roby as ever. They tried to offload it. That'll be a gift to the Giants.
Yes, Willie Manu tried to get the ball away, but Huddersfield have it back in the shape of Jason Chan, and here now comes Luke O'Donnell. Shoulder surgery this winter. Just 20, look at the mistake there from Manu, just trying to offload in an impossible situation. Robinson gets the ball to Cudjoe. Good ball to McGilvray. McGilvray cuts inside, has the strength and has the first try. Big error from Manu. Capitalised by the Huddersfield Giants. And Jermaine McGilvray, another man who's gone under the surgeon's knife. This winter he's had ankle surgery, 10 tries last year, wants to do better and maybe make the England side come the end of the campaign. McGilvray, what a start for the Huddersfield Giants. That has pricked the St Helens balloon.
Certainly has, and this is the sort of thing that they expect, St Helens, from Willie Manu. They have got to learn to make sure that they come and support him. It wasn't the best offload. It certainly was from the centre, wasn't it? And McGilvray just bounced away through. He was covered. It turned out easy. You'll see that it's Lomax that goes back on the inside. Watch. Should have got him. Went high, just brushed him off. McGilvray is a big unit. You've got to go for the legs when this fella gets it.
And Jermaine McGilvray tipping himself for a big year after all the ankle problems, ongoing ankle ligament damage last year that he tried to play through the pain. And Brough adds the extras. Well, St Helens 0, Huddersfield 6. A mistake from Willie Manu and absolutely capitalised by the Giants.
And that has to be the lesson here, doesn't it? They have to convert their chances into tries. Lovely pass there from number 3, Leroy Cudjoe. He's played 6 times for England already. Steve McNamara might have him down as a listed player for perhaps playing in the centres of the World Cup, but at the moment, Paul Anderson's pretty happy with that start.
Well, it's against the grain, isn't it? That's the thing about a start like that, is that neither side's really had an opportunity to ascertain any sort of dominance yet, but you capitalise on other people's errors. The interesting thing about that set was that Willie Manu had already offloaded a ball in that particular play, and he got it back and he tried to do it again. And you do get a bit impetuous sometimes, you know, because you get some confidence out of an offload works, you think it's going to work every time.
But that is the reason why St. Helens wanted him here. They know his capabilities of that little offload. Okay, it didn't come off. Let's hope he doesn't go into his shell, because that's the reason that they want him at St. Helens.
We're making much of the Willie Manu mistake, but how about the finishing power from Jermaine McGilvray? He went through 2, 3 St. Helens defenders.
Yeah, and as I said earlier, Eddie, that Johnny Lomax will not want to see that again. He should have gone low, went to try to go high, and just got brushed away by McGilvray.
Great offload from Scott Griggs. He finds Sean Lunt, a grand final winner with Leeds, of course, last October, back at Huddersfield. It'd be like having a new player. Was pushed down, and that's infringement at the play the ball by Josh Jones.
Well, they're all at 6s and 7s, I'm afraid, of the home side. You can see there it went a little bit high, and Jones went over the top and then just wouldn't allow him to get up there. That was a high shot by Wilkin. That's the second we've seen by the second row Wilkin. Well, they're a little bit frustrated, and the Giants are taking full advantage. Nathan Brown will not be happy with the start.
Another glorious opportunity then for the Giants. A lovely dummy as well from Luke Robinson. And Wilkin had to hang on to his shirt and pull him down. They're 5 metres away from the line. Sean Lunt gets the ball in field. That's big, great Kopchak. And Kopchak is held up a metre short. Lunt is scheming. Very close again. The Giants gets the ball over everybody. It bounces. Oh, it's poor. Not the best. Not the best from Sean Lunt. Obviously a planned move. It didn't come off.
Well, it was a great opportunity, because St. Helens had 5 on the short side defending, and they were really, really short for numbers on that open side. The actual plan was right, the execution was poor.
Yeah, poor pass gave them the opportunity, and oh, they have sinned yet again. It's all about patience. We saw that last night from the Leeds Rhinos. They were absolutely superb throughout the full 80 minutes. And you can see there that the Giants got overexcited, out of the blocks too early. For the man in the middle, Richard Silverwood.
Yeah, the defensive line of Huddersfield then just a little bit like a dog's hind leg, wasn't it? Well, a couple of errors, a few mistakes, but Huddersfield leading here by 6 points to 0 after 8 minutes. Kopchak and Fielden. Sean was mentioning in the pre-match build-up to this, he has gone for size, hasn't he, Paul Anderson? He's a big man himself, and he's gone for size in his forward pack. Size and mobility.
Yep, and certainly knows he's got the quality out there in the three-quarter line as well, but his days at Bradford, of course, when what they call the awesome foursome, the prop forward, but it was the three-quarters that produced the quality to put them in the lead.
No way through for Willie Manu as Paul Anderson watches on. Here is Wilkin jinking away from one, gets the ball away eventually to Lomax. Had to be a good tackle.
Oh, that should have been a penalty.
On the floor from Stuart Fielden, having made that tackle. The ball goes up into the air off the boot and is claimed by Scott Griggs, and he was standing just over his own try line. He wants to get on with this quickly, and away he goes. He can these days, because the Huddersfield players were all behind him. They were onside, and Saints, they were caught.
And it's a good well, it's a new introduction, but it has
a new
been
interpretation, isn't it, Stephen?
Utilised many moons ago, but this was a great take, wasn't it? Under a lot of pressure.
And Richard Silverwood was in position to police that quick restart, so it was allowed.
Well, it's a confident start, isn't it, by the visitors? The Giants really are getting themselves sorted out. We know the qualities of the two half-backs, Danny Brough, Luke Robinson. They're interchanging. Some of them taking the first receiver. Robinson again, and lack of concentration. Turner this occasion.
Well, Turner was entangled in the legs of Stuart Fielden here, just couldn't get out of the way.
Oh, you could see he was holding down. The referee had no option about it at all. Well, the new coach, Nathan Brown, has got to say, hey, come on, fellas, we need discipline. We've got to get back in the other end of the field.
You're right, Steve, but that's a great run by Stuart Fielden. When you get an offensive win, you very often get a penalty out of it, because the defender gets himself in a very awkward position, and he tends to have to hang on just that extra second or two, and you leave yourself very vulnerable.
That's a lovely pass, it's a lovely try. What a start this is. Brett Ferris for the Huddersfield Giants. Named as the vice-captain only this week, Brett Ferris. And the Huddersfield supporters, they travelled over here hoping for this. And what a start. What a start to this match. The England international. And he got the Giants' debut for himself in a 46-12 defeat here last July. No wonder he celebrates this try.
Silly play by the centre, Jordan Turner. Fielden absolutely exasperated, but what about the beautiful little pass there from Danny Brough? He's showing all the skills in the world. You allow Lunt to take a little bit of a lunge forward from the play the ball situation, and you leave yourself on the back foot. There you can see it was not the best defensive line. It was a matter for St Helens. It's your man, no, it's mine. I'll tell you what, it was none of them, because Brett Ferris just sailed through. Well, it's a shock.
It's a fantastic start for a team that is seeking a first win at St Helens in 35 years. Their last victory in the town, and that was over at Knowsley Road back then, was way back in November 1978. And has Brough added the extras? Yes, he has. It's 12-0 to the Giants.
When the Giants played here last year, they just about in 80 minutes managed to score 2 tries, and both of those more or less came from Danny Brough kicks. Tonight they look more dangerous, both on the left and the right. You talked about the size, but I think it's the speed and the skill that they've exhibited today that have led to those first 2 tries and the points they have. Complete confidence at the moment from them. You watch when the try was scored, they quickly as a team regrouped, ran back to the halfway line, got themselves set to receive this kickoff, and seemed totally focused on starting 2013 on a high.
Not the best start for Nathan Brown. Here's Stuart Fielden. Great offload, finds Griggs. He then gets it away to Luke O'Donnell.
The confidence is high on the visitors. They really do realise they've got 2 quick tries. It has really pumped them up, and it's applying even more pressure for the defence of St Helens, who I must say that at 6s and 7s, it looks as though there's a lot of them as though they'd never played with each other. Look how some are moving up, others are hanging back. There's no confidence running through the St Helens players at the moment.
I must say it's been a startling and a sensational opening 12 minutes to Super League 18 from Stuart Fielden, and a sensational start from the Giants, and soccer skills being dribbling it down the middle. Oh, Melly has dropped it. It went backwards, though. He gets away with it.
Certainly does, but again, lovely thinking by Danny Brough. You've got to give it credit for this little fella. He's always looking for something different, apply the pressure. It was a little kick through, and then it was Robinson that reefed it away from Melly. They are in a deep hole at the home side.
Look, there's a long way to go, not only in this match, but obviously in this season, but a little bit of a ray of hope for St Helens here. In each of the previous 2 years, the Giants claimed a round 1 win over the team that would eventually top the Super League table. They won at Wigan last year, and they beat Warrington at Cardiff in 2011. So St Helens fans watching this, don't get too despondent yet. The season's only 13 minutes old.
Yeah, but they've got to shake their feathers. The home side realise it as well, and that's great work. Quick play the ball by the Giants.
Hasn't really Josh Perry slimmed down this year? Number 8 for St Helens. He's lost a bit of weight. We normally talk about forwards, prop forwards bulking up, but Perry has trimmed himself down. Robinson gets the ball away. That's a great run on the diagonal from Chan, but a great tackle by Willie Manu. And O'Donnell will take it forward. The Giants again.
Yeah, the Giants are getting over that advantage line, and as we saw last night, Leeds, they can get the kicking game away, and there's none better than Danny Brough. It's a high one, it's awkward, it's going to bounce awkward too.
Oh, and they trap Wellens in goal. Robinson almost leapfrogged him. He went over the top of his neck, did Robinson, but the follow-up was good. Watch this from Robinson here now. Whoops, missed him. Then the follow-up. Great chase by Cudjoe.
Certainly is, but we've often talked about the skill factor of Danny Brough. He's a type of player that if he goes into a mood, if he's not seen for the 10 minutes or 15 minutes, he can sulk. Give him the opportunity to take control of a game, and he can be just magical.
Robinson's underneath the dropout. Here comes Fielden again. Good solid run from Fielden. Started well, hasn't he, after 2 years of a nightmare in terms of injuries.
Well, I think he's only played 2 games in those 2 years, and he's certainly putting himself about. He wants to prove a point, but this fella, you know, that's at dummy half, Lunt, he's a key factor as well. But look at this defence. They are so confused, the Saints.
Another penalty. Actually, I thought that Wilkin might easily have been penalised for the flop. As it is, he's penalised for infringement around the ruck. He's holding on to the player. They're trying to slow Huddersfield down.
It's not working. They're giving away silly penalties. They
want to kick a goal here, Mike?
Yeah, they're kicking. They are kicking for goal.
I think they'll go for the 2 because those extra 2 can be very vital. Look, Paul Anderson, even though he hasn't had a great deal of time in first-grade coaching, he realises that with this start, if he can just take advantage of taking the kicks at goal from these penalties, and I think there'll be more to come because St Helens need to settle down.
Little word of advice to Paul Wellens to tell his players. This is from Richard Silverwood, that they've got to get away from the tackled player more quickly. Not on a caution yet, but just a word of advice from Richard Silverwood.
Well, the advice also as well is that Nathan Brown will not be happy with the fact that St Helens, believe it or not, they've missed 6 tackles already, and that's going to get 2 extra points.
Yes, 14-0.
Well, there's only been one team that's had to come off their try line, and that's St Helens. The only time I've seen Huddersfield so far is receiving the kickoff, and they're doing so well at getting field position and winning a penalty that they've been able to attack for the first 15, 16 minutes of this game. St Helens effectively haven't really had much ball at all over the halfway line, and when you're defending, it does take a lot of energy out of you. And Huddersfield at the moment are giving everyone a lesson in just simply running hard, finding the floor, playing the ball quick, winning the ruck. It enables you to play with the football.
Stuart Fielder here again, bringing it back, and they like the formation here on the first charge. But the test for Huddersfield tonight will come when St Helens have possession. It always evens itself up to a certain extent. Saints will get some good ball, they may receive a penalty and get to attack. It'll be the test and question mark over Huddersfield's defence here tonight, which will determine whether they go home with 2 points.
14-0 is a cracking little lead, though.
It certainly is, and I must say I've been impressed the way that the Giants have played. They haven't been too over-fancy. They've just got down to basics. The forwards have done the hard graft. St Helens haven't had that opportunity. They've been too fancy and dropping the ball, giving away too many penalties.
They're almost going level pegging with the clock. Huddersfield, 14 points, 17 minutes. Here's Lunt again. Oh, gets the ball away. Brilliant pass off the deck by Ferris.
Good job that Gaskell got to him as well. He got to Bruff.
It's the last one here. They're running it. A little untidily, it finds its way to Cudjoe. Cudjoe, well, he was tackled then by Lomax without the ball. He got the kick in and Lomax tackled him.
Yeah, very fortunate right in front of this touch judge on this right-hand side.
Well, the touch judge missed it, the referee missed it. I'm sure that should have been a penalty.
Certainly arrived late, that is for sure, but again, we see the offload, but I'm not so sure that they should be looking for offloads. Just calm it around. There's a kick through. Yeah,
maybe he was committed. Maybe he was committed to the tackle, to be fair to him.
Either way, they're in a mess. That should be a penalty.
He went to blow then, Richard Silverwood. He's allowed advantage. And this is the reason why, because Saints are coming forward with Gaskell. Oh, he's lost the ball.
He's claiming his Gaskell that it was taken away, but he was just dumped to the ground, lost control.
There's an example where you wish you got the penalty.
Yes. He put the whistle to his mouth, Richard Silverwood, and then thought better of it because he saw Saints were on a half break.
And they got over the advantage line, so that's fair enough. But Saints have got to go back to basics. Look, hard work. Come on, you forwards.
What a run from Kopjak, that is. And Fielden has left the field after 18.5 minutes. Big Earl's on. Here he is.
And that's a good move by the coach, Paul Anderson. He's done his graft as this fella, and he'll be happy with it. He won't be happy to be substituted. He never has been over his career.
But at 33 years of age, 18-20 minutes, that'll do if you give him 18-20 minutes like that.
Well, he's taken up the ball about 7 times, hasn't he? I mean, he's really been around there. High pressure, good work by Leroy Cudjoe.
You know, if you plotted on the field where St Helens started every one of their first 6 tackles, you'd see most of them almost just on the St Helens try line. Huddersfield did this last year to start the season at Wigan. Whenever they gave the Warriors the ball, they gave it to them close to own try line. And this territorial dominance was the key to many victories, particularly early in the season when the pitches are a little slower.
Gaskell gets it away to Jordan Turner. Four tackles gone. How many metres? 21 metres gained forward.
That's better. More aggression. Take it up, and then let's get the kick and chase.
That's Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook under all that. He was trying to get to his feet. The referee's patience holds. Solid bounce, and McGilvray will bring this ball back. Gets away from Melly. He's backed himself as McGilvray. Good job that Manu was there.
Any side that can retrieve the ball from the kick and get over the halfway line after only one play the ball gives you some indication who's bossing this match.
Well, it's going very well for Huddersfield, but midway through the half, some injury news from Bill.
Nothing too serious for Giants fans. He's had an impressive start to his Giants career, Stuart Fielder, but ironically it was one of his own teammates who ended his involvement so far. He was due to be replaced anyway by Earl Crabtree, but Fielder suffered a clash of heads with one of his teammates. Mates has come off the field looking very groggy indeed. He's earned a breather. It's been impressive from him.
He's got a bit of a headache, and I think Luke Robinson might have a bit of a headache here as well, because there's a bit of a clash.
Well, O'Donnell certainly take it up, and that's been a feature for the Huddersfield Giants. The little halfback Robinson is a tough hombre, that's for sure. Takes a lot to stop this fella. Keep saying
kick at goal again here, Mike.
This is
surprised me.
Oh, a shoulder charge, Soliola on Robinson. The Rugby Football League has chosen to maintain the shoulder charge rule and allow it.
So the penalty there, Eddie, is that because the referee think it was late?
I've no idea, Phil.
Well,
We've got to ask him.
I'm trying to imagine here.
Yes, I can't.
I hope not. I hope not, because I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
Neither do I, but I'm trying to imagine that. Is that what the referee must be reading?
Well, he certainly stopped play, didn't he? And
well, it can't. Sorry, fellas, but it can't be, because where Robinson was put down was another 10 metres further back. So there must have been some infringement.
Something else maybe in that other tackle that we saw. And Brough, oh, he's hit the post. Oh, the ball's bouncing awkwardly though. Melly to the rescue again though. St Helens begin from within their own 10-metre line.
That could be decisive. That really could, because to take the game to 16-0, it just drifted to the left.
Here's Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook. He's struggling a bit this week. I think he hasn't trained for a couple of days. Right slap bang in the middle of the post.
Yeah. Well, that's better by St Helens.
Well, it's significant that it's a run that came in there from the big fella Tony Pulatua.
And that's significant too, is that Saints have elected to kick on the fourth, didn't wait until the last.
Well, the possession stats might tell you that Huddersfield have had twice as much as St Helens, but more importantly, they've had 6 times as much possession inside St Helens half. Almost all of the game is played down on the right end of the screen here at the moment, isn't it? And St Helens are just desperate for a break in the momentum of the match to get it to the other end.
Well, St Helens have been making changes, I think, in this game so far to try and get some form. Huddersfield have just been giving the big forwards a little bit of a breather. There's another change just been made. But the way that St Helens are falling off the tackles at the moment is quite alarming.
Yeah, they're trying to shuffle it and get some semblance of coordination. But the little inside pass, the likes of Danny Brough and Luke Robinson, they're building in confidence, and so are the forwards. They're having a devil of a job to try to stop it. Great little kick through. It's not too long. It's good.
It's very well fielded by Wellens, who brings it out, but only as far as Joe Wardle. Again, St Helens beginning their set of 6 on or close to their own goal line.
It just shows you the confidence, but not only that, the skill factor with a kicking game. It's so important in the modern rugby league game now. All about field position, and St Helens have had very little of that.
They haven't had a chance, have they, in the opening 23 minutes? They haven't had a sniff of it.
There you go, there's the first penalty.
Just might swing it.
I was just going to say, Eddie, that one of the things, if you work hard in this area of the field offensively, coming off your line, you invariably get penalties. But I'm not sure St Helens have worked hard and deserved. Everybody keeps saying you know, they're holding down or they're offside. But actually, Huddersfield have been very disciplined. I think St Helens have got to work a little bit harder. There's probably an example there. They've got to try and play the ball a bit quicker, find the floor. See, Huddersfield are easily controlling that. There's nothing wrong with that ruck at all there, and they get themselves set.
Pulatua, infield it goes. Lomax, can he conjure something up? He got the ball away to Jordan Turner. Here's Roby. Now it's Soliola, saw a hole, went for it. The captain has arrived, Paul Wellens. Roby, crowd on the back of the referee. They feel Huddersfield are holding them down. This is the big man, Pulatua. They're certainly winning the wrestle on the floor, the Giants, there's no doubt about that. Roby 10 metres out, back it comes to Wilkin. And that's Jones. And it takes 3 to bring him down. Here's
will we have a Roby special? No, he's farmed it out.
This is the first time that St Helens have threatened the line. And Ferris does well. He stays just the right side of the whitewash from the Huddersfield point of view.
Great work by Ferris as well. Looks as though he's twisted the ankle, or maybe he was just trying to delay things. Swinging arm yet again from the second row, John Wilkin. Well, he's on a mission, but I'm not so sure it's the mission that the coach Nathan Brown would want. Got to concentrate on doing the rugby league football. Never mind trying to knock people's heads off.
Here's my point about St Helens coming off the line versus Huddersfield. That's play number 3. They've got over the 30-metre line. Each player has made a 10-metre haul. Luke Robinson's on his own here, but he's still able to go forward, and they'll still make progress and now get up to the halfway line. The metres they're making are far too easy. And
the hesitation that you're seeing in this St Helens defence, some are moving up, others are not. Look at that. They should have moved up on that right flank, and they've allowed Brough to go right round and have a free kick into the corner.
It was an awful pass, to be fair, that Brough had to really lean forward to pick up, and then he was able to make ground laterally before kicking the ball downfield and just gaining a few more. Look at this, not the best.
Yeah, but watch for the defence in St Helens. Even though the player was down midfield, that right-hand flank for St Helens should have been moving up automatic. They didn't. It was as though they were having a rest. Boy, he's got problems. There's that fella, Nathan Brown. He looks calm, cool and collected. Not so sure what's happening inside.
Well, the script has been torn up, hasn't it? It certainly would not have contained this sort of scoreline after 26 minutes. 14-0 for Nathan Brown, 14-0 to his old club. Soliola, Crabtree, and Larn Patrick getting to him. Roby and Louis McCarthy-Scarsbrook. Crabtree again, clawing him to the ground. Roby and Lomax. Good hands, and here is young Josh Jones.
That's a knock-on. Knock-on by Leroy Cudjoe. They'll bring it back. They're claiming that it was freaked the other way, but it was definitely. Well, I don't know how he's got that. Yes, he's got it right, so here's the official. Watch Cudjoe pull it through. That's a knock-on.
Are you arguing with yourself there?
I did, yeah. It won't be the first time, Phil, that's for sure.
Did you win? Did you win, Steve-O? Did you beat yourself in the argument?
The trouble is, it turned out to be a draw.
The trouble is, he can't remember what the argument was all about.
What was that?
Here we go, lads. Let's keep it quick in the ruck. Cheers.
So scrum will go down here, just over the halfway line in Huddersfield territory. Gaskell just helps it on again. McCarthy-Scarsbrook was the man playing the ball. Here is Lomax, short pass to Willie Manu, but they were waiting for him. It was good work. Ferris, was that a bit high on Roby?
Certainly appeared that way. As he normally does, Roby just gets on with the game. This defence from the Giants has been exceptional. I think it was just under the chin by Ferris, got away with it.
Just round the neck. Here's Pulatua. Wellens was hunting the pass that never came. Roby on the last then. Dabs the ball to the in-goal area. Robinson does well. Did he ground the ball then? No, the referee said he didn't. I think he's going to ask for some advice here from the video referee, Steve Ganson.
He just wants to check that picks the ball up here and I think that's grounded.
Well, Paul Wellens is asking the referee, is it the ball or the ball carrying arm?
Oh, no, no.
Well, is it?
Slow
that's the
motion.
point. Is it the ball or the ball carrying arm? It's goal line dropout. Steve Ganson's come to the rescue of all of us.
Once it hits the deck. But I thought it was play on unless a player and the opposition has a hold of him. And they don't.
Because you sometimes see
he's grounded the ball,
don't you? Even when they restart to play.
He's deemed to have grounded the ball in his own in goal, hasn't he?
Yep.
Even though he slipped.
Well, that's the first
It's a
real...
moot point. Is it the ball or the ball carrying arm? Obviously now we know it's ball carrying arm.
And yet it wouldn't have been a try, would it, if it had been in an attacking situation?
No, you're right.
Well, the one thing
A
is
grey
that
area.
for once in this match, St Helens have had 2 sets in the opposition half, and it's been a long time since that has occurred.
Soliola.
Bit more aggression, that's good. That should be a penalty. That was a grapple.
Here's Pulatua.
Lomax with the dummy and brings someone back on the inside.
Camped underneath the Huddersfield post. Soliola hits it a pace. Great defence. Helped out by the posts.
And Ferris.
Roby. Back to Lomax. On the inside to Wellens. Wellens gets away from one. Got the kick in. And it's gathered in by Danny Brough.
Well, Paul Anderson will be very pleased indeed with the way that the team are working together. Even when that kick was put in there were 2 players coming back. They are really working hard, and he knows that they are in control of this game at the moment.
Well, the victory that I was talking about earlier, November 78, the old First Division days, 16-15. A drop goal settled it from the Wigan and Wales star Peter Rowe. It was their only league win away to St Helens in 50 years. The history is certainly beckoning for the Giants right now with half an hour gone and they're leading 14-0. Big question is, can they keep this up for the full 80? Can they keep this up this year for the full season?
Well, it was a problem last year, wasn't it? And the year before that. So I'm sure that Paul Anderson is aware of it, but he'll also be aware, as remember, when that penalty attempt by Danny Brough hit the post, it should have stretched them to 16-0. We'll have to wait and see late in this game whether that would be a factor.
They topped the table last Easter. They fell from grace alarmingly after that. The potential has always been there for the Giants.
And after 30 minutes, Eddie, they now know they're in a contest, aren't they? They're having to do the mundane and monotonous and painful aspects of rugby league, carrying the ball forward from close to your own line. And now St Helens in the last 5 or 10 minutes have realised if they start to play with a bit of territory, it becomes a more even arm wrestle.
Well, they've gone back to basics, Phil, and that's what they were lacking. And lack of discipline as well. Remember, they give those early penalties, gave a real lift to the visitors. Again, look how this St Helens defence are hanging off.
Crabtree working hard, getting the Giants over halfway, looking to offload again. That's been a feature of their first 30 minutes of this season. Crabtree is tangled up with Louis McCarthy Scarsbrook. Danny Brough just feigning to go one way, then the other, gets the ball away off the ground. Fantastically, wonderful, wonderful hands. They have 2-on-1 down this wing. Cudjoe's one of them. McGilvery's another. It's opened up for Cudjoe, and Cudjoe scores again for the Giants. Leroy Cudjoe. They had a man on the overlap out wide, and Cudjoe cut inside, left McGilvery as the decoy runner, and Leroy Cudjoe over for the try. All 3 of England's internationals he played last autumn, Leroy Cudjoe. 14 tries for the Giants last year. Here's number 1 of 2013.
The offload here from Danny Brough, but watch it from the fullback. Bang, from Griggs to Robinson. Sensational. Throw the dummy. Again, it's easy meat. Someone should have gone low. Someone said it's you. You've got to put yourself in that line, put your body on the line and break the tackle. Hanging off will not help. But the offload, the little flick from Scott Griggs to Robinson, and the finish here from Cudjoe, that is sheer quality. And they are bossing this game with ease.
Big kick here for Danny Brough, this for a 20-point lead. 20-point lead it is. Is that a winning lead?
Well, we've advertised this league as a league of the extraordinary, and that took some fantastic and extraordinary skill there to score and take 20 points. At 20 points to nil, approaching half-time, or with, what, 5 or 6 minutes to go to half-time, they should be able to win from here if they're good enough, because the way they've played, why would they reduce? Look at that, tip on, and then a player with great confidence. Chan puts it in the arms of Cudjoe, and he steps back inside against the cover and has the speed and composure to make that kick a little easier.
He celebrated that, didn't he, Leroy Cudjoe? Why wouldn't he? 20 points to nil, Huddersfield lead. We are 7 minutes away from half-time. If you ask Paul Anderson now, he'd say, let's carry on, let's just turn round, not have the break, and let's turn round and play back-to-back 40s, because it's going perfectly at the moment for the Giants.
And they are playing perfectly steady rugby league football. He knows it as well. Nothing too fancy until they get into a good position. But the combination, that offload from Danny Brough and that little tip from Griggs, oh, wonderful.
Brett Ferris, look at them. Every time they are tackled, Huddersfield, they're turning and they're looking for the support that's there to maybe get the offload away. Lunt has found Crabtree. Was given an alarming amount of time, Sean Lunt, to get that pass away from a St Helens point of view before he got it away. Robinson's high kick, Wellens is underneath it. But again, 5 metres from his own line.
It's a good job
St
that
Helens captain starts this set of 6.
Saying Eddie, it's a good job that Wellens is in pretty good form, because they're peppering this St Helens side, and he's sick and tired of being in the same position. That is in the first 10 metres, right next to their own goal line.
Sean Lunt's just been given some treatment on the run while St Helens try and work this ball away from their own goal line. Seems he's okay.
Will it be enough 20 points? At the moment, there's only one team look like they're going to score again, and that's Huddersfield. Is that 5 tackles now there? They've gained, what?
It is.
Approximately 10 metres.
Sensational defence.
Dominance. They look so sharp and fresh.
And Griggs allows the ball to bounce. He's got about 20 metres, 30 metres maybe, before the Saints wall arrives. There it is, led by Mark Flanagan. Only 8 starts in his debut year last year. 26 appearances in all, though, for him. Here is Luke George again.
Well, the St Helens fans just can't believe what they're watching, because this Giants outfit is getting over the advantage line. Considerable ease. Look at that. They're hanging back, St Helens. They've lost all confidence in their defensive line.
It's gone very quiet, hasn't it, at St Helens? Can't normally say that. They're vocal and vociferous. Lovely little kick behind the winger Makinson.
And that's all you have to do.
I think
George has got the shoulder.
Got a bang then.
But again, the beautiful skill factor from Danny Brough.
This is painful. Oh, he hits Brough, he hits his own man. Or Brough hits him.
But there's some great lessons here, isn't there? If Luke George there just grimaces in a bit of pain, but I'm sure he's going to be okay. But there's some great lessons here in rugby league, that if you don't score a try and you don't get a repeat set, it's not so bad making the team come 5 minutes off their line, as long as you stay disciplined. And what Huddersfield have done is defended this end of the field so well that Saints are going to have to try a few things, shift the ball, try to make some metres, get some quick play the balls. But you've got to take the odds, which they're very good at doing.
They are, but that flick pass off the ground from Melly went to nobody, and Wilkin got to it. It was clattered from behind by Crabtree. Lomax.
Under pressure, Lomax, not the best kick. And again, Scott Griggs is having a field day. They all are in this black outfit, way stripped from the Giants. And boy, they're living up to their name at the moment.
Well, George still holding that shoulder that he injured in the collision with his skipper, Danny Brough. Just about 3 minutes to half-time. There he is, George going back onto the wing as this move develops down his flank. It's Ferris, who is grounded on the halfway line. Lunt, who had the running repairs, seems okay. Here's Griggs.
Saying, Eddie, the switch of play that the Giants have produced, going down that short side, it's a ploy that, you know, Nathan Brown introduced a couple of seasons ago to this Huddersfield side. Paul Anderson has taken it on, but he's certainly polished up on that department. And here will come the kick. It'll go high, and the chase should be good.
Yeah, there's Brough. Oh, it's a little dink over the top. And Wellens tidies up perfectly. 32 years of age, a try against Huddersfield here last year in a 46-12 victory for Paul Wellens. Seems to have been around for ages, indeed he has.
The only thing that can spoil the start of the season for Huddersfield now is a lapse in concentration in the next 2 minutes of this match. Take what could be a 20-0 lead and make it 6 points to 20. Should say it's produced the magic, but I don't think they will here now. They've lost possession again.
Manu trying to get the ball away, it wasn't the best. I don't want to age you, Sean McRae, but you gave Paul Wellens his debut in 1998. Do you remember that?
I do remember it. I remember it very, very well. In fact, I'd been up the year before and spoke at a school. Which someone will remind me one day what the school was. I can't remember that. And Paul was actually a student at that school and a young up-and-coming academy player. And it was the very next year that he got his debut, and he's been an outstanding player for this club.
Was it a school or his college?
It was a college, sorry.
Yeah.
I called it a school, but it was college, yes. Apologies to those educators out there.
Well, don't look at me. The only time I went to college, I walked past it. Simple as that. It's well,
you went to the school of hard knocks.
Yeah, something like that. But on that occasion, you see how Willie Manu, we expect so much of him, that he was carrying that ball with one arm, and you've got to just say to yourself, hey, come on. At least try to stop Huddersfield scoring another try. It was poor play from Manu.
Well, they would love to get the try here just before half-time. Griggs brushes away from one, keeps it going, gets over the 20-metre line. 20 points to 0, 60 seconds remaining. Penalty here because they wouldn't.
They'll take the two.
Manu would not let them get out of the way and not let them play the ball. They will take the two, surely.
Yeah.
With less than a minute to go.
Well, this has been a fine display, hasn't it, by the visiting side, Huddersfield. Willie Manu came up with an error early in the game, and Anderson.
Take the two, says Paul Anderson.
Confirmation, and why not? This should be easy meat for the likes of Danny Brough, who has been very adventurous tonight. His combination with Luke Robinson is certainly paying off. The forwards are laying that platform.
And Brough obliges with the 2 points, 22 points to 0. That will be the way they will turn around at half-time.
Just looking over to Ian Proctor, was it about 2 years ago when Texas after a poor start the first half? That was against Salford back in those days. They came back to start the season. I remember it was the opening night here, wasn't it, when they played against Salford?
Yes, it was.
Terrible first half.
I don't think it was as bad as this, though.
No,
22-0.
A bit better than this to come back.
Perfect from Huddersfield. Not so good